Ah,
Running away from my family.
hello, everyone. It is
Okay.
Friday. Can you see
Facebook Live
us?
Friday.
Can you see?
Friday.
Yay. Oh my goodness. I see us. Drop a note as always and tell us you can see us. You can hear us. As always, we love to know where you are watching us from today. Are you at home? Are you hanging out at a cabin? Are you at the beach? Are you in front of a bonfire? Is there something delicious in your glass right now? Those of you who are on the East Coast, like our guest today, I am sipping tea out of my WomanUP virtual experience mug, and so excited about that. I love this mug. It's 15 ounces. And oh, you got LaCroix. What flavor is that? Oh, it's
Pamplemousse. Do I say it right?
yes, you do. The grapefruit. But yes,
Grapefruit, yes.
I love it. Totally. I'm drinking the Trader Joe's candy cane tea, the green tea that's candy cane flavor. It's so good.
Oh, it's like a little sweet candy cane, only you
It's
don't
so
have to
delicious.
eat
Yes. And if you put just a tiny bit of almond milk in it, it tastes like a little bit of a latte, a delicious, puffy
like the peppermint
vanilla.
latte.
Yes. Oh, it's so good. It's so
Oh,
delicious. Okay. So, everyone, we are here. We are live. This has been a big week, in particular for those of you who are in the state of California or who attended Reimagine this last week. We had this. Okay. Let's just be real. The virtual stage was packed with WomanUP members.
yes, it was.
I felt like every day I was doing a little dance. I'm like, oh my gosh, look at that, look at her go. And in particular, there were some ladies, some lionesses who have said, I don't know if I want to share my story or say anything out loud into a microphone. And those ladies were rocking the mic on their own.
Yep.
I'm looking
Yep.
at you, Sabrina. I'm looking at you, comma. You ladies rocked the mic in solo format. Ha! Ha! Oh,
Oh yeah.
felt so
So
proud. I felt
good.
so proud. I felt like a mama lion. I did just a little bit. Oh goodness. So we don't have a ton of WomanUP updates. Specifically, though, we want to remind you that the book club is coming up. It's on the 28th of this month, and we are doing The Likeability Trapped by Alicia Menendez. And if you are not RSVP'd for that, please head on over to the event page. Of course, we'll drop a link after the show, but head on over to the event page, RSVP, register on the Zoom link. I am, feverishly listening to and consuming everything that she's got out there outside of her book as well. And so I've got a
Ooh.
whole little file where I'm going to be dropping in links to podcasts and things that I'm listening to. She also has a podcast called Latina to Latina.
Mm.
If you have not listened to that, it is fiery. And for the white ladies, let me just tell you, they do call us out. So if you do not want to be in an environment where you are being called out, well, don't
I
listen
think
to
we
the
can do well.
podcast.
I think it's important to, and this community is known for taking on tough conversations. So
Yes,
we can do it.
we can do it. It's just if you are in having one of those days where you don't want to be called out on anything,
That's okay too.
just know I told you. I told you so. But let me tell you,
I
she gets me
warned
fired
ya.
up. I feel like I have a little Latina in me when she's talking.
That's
You know,
awesome.
like I get a little fiery and I should say fierier, feistier.
Feisty, fastier.
Super amazing. She has great guests on. I just dropped the link into a conversation that she had. I had a guest host on one of the NPR podcasts. It was really, really good. So make sure that you get the book. I got all of the ways to get the book. I got the physical book. I got the Audible book, and I got the Kindle version because I like to listen while I'm walking and bookmark. And when I bookmark while I'm listening in the Audible, it bookmarks the Kindle version. So when I come home, I can go back through the physical book and find it and highlight it. So I have this whole like new way of consuming books. And I figure,
It's
I'm saving money on gas and like taxis and dry cleaning and all of the other things. I can spend, a total of $40 and get the whole suite of content.
there is an entire suite. I find it very awe-inspiring how you're able to consume so much. Like I'm struggling with that. I am. It's hard to keep up on my reading and because I'm going and going and I'm just thinking about Mary Lee Blaylock, who totally sung to me when she shared on our Woman Up panel that she doesn't read as much because she's going and going and going. By the time she gets to bed and she starts reading, she falls asleep. Guilty. So I love the idea of the Audible book and being able to grab your phone or your Kindle app and you can read when you have a chance.
Yeah. And the fact that they all work together now,
Yeah,
well, all
sort
Audible
of.
and Kindle works together is really helpful. It
It's
really
great.
is because it was frustrating when they weren't. This was a few years ago, but you'd listen to it and you bookmark and you'd be like, where does that go? Now it goes somewhere. So there's your hack. What's happening on your side of all of the things, Sarah? Anything with CAR that's exciting or
Well,
real estate in general?
we are so happy, and I see our president Jean Ratzick on Facebook. Hi, President Jeannie. She just crushed a 6.5, almost 6.5 hour long board of directors meeting on last Friday, which is why we weren't here. It was a lot of work. A lot of work went into all the committee meetings. A lot of work went into on Jeannie's side and our leadership team side for our board of directors meetings. It was a lot of engagement, a lot of debate, which is always good, right? I mean, it was healthy, it was strong, it was led by a fierce, fabulous female. And she's also our president. So thank you, President Jeannie. Um, and then this week, we're coming off of the heels, as you mentioned, from Reimagine. I am having trouble keeping up with the days. I actually thought yesterday was Friday.
Oh yeah,
I'm
that was funny.
like, oh yay, let's do Facebook Live. But what do you mean we're not doing it today? But we had over 11,000 registrations for Reimagine. It was insane. I do want to remind everybody, and we'll post the link in the comments below, that all of our sessions were recorded and all of them are available through December. So it's not too late to capture some of the amazing conversations. One was our Woman Up panel, which was my favorite, and I will say that, I can say that here. But also I think another one that was a real crowd favorite and my favorite too was a conversation with Sherry Chris and Anthony Hitt from Engel Volkers. Tie-in, you like that lovely tie-in to our special
So
guest
good.
today.
Yes.
And then and that was with Leslie. And then there was some great conversations between Leslie and Joel. I hosted a conversation about,
Yes.
yes, that was great. I hosted a conversation about closing the home ownership gap, and it was all about lending and policy. And it was funny because a friend of mine said it took me 25 minutes to realize it was all women on your panel, and I said, well, what can I say? But it was really just people who are qualified to talk about what we need to do to close the homeownership gap. So that was really awesome. All of that stuff is
Ooh, before
available.
you go past that, I
Oh
just
yeah.
had like an RBG moment when you said
Ooh,
that because one
share.
of her famous statements is until there are nine, right? About like when will there be enough women on the Supreme Court? And she says, well, nine, and
Yeah.
it's not a big deal. Your panel and that the recognition that it took her that long to recognize it feels good to me. And it feels like something Ruth would just be like, whoop, ladies.
Yes.
So I don't want that to slip by. So
No, it
that's
shouldn't.
amazing.
We should all be happy. And when she said that to me, I said that's the best compliment I've heard like ever, because that means we're doing something right here.
Yes, 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 yes,
Yeah.
totally.
Absolutely. Oh, okay. And so then my other last update is on paycheck protection program loans. That's this small business association loans that we've been talking about since the coronavirus pandemic started. The SBA just put out some guidelines and a step-by-step guide on how to apply for loan forgiveness that's more simple, especially for loans under $50,000. So I'll post some of the links. This could be available to everybody. If you're outside of California, I can get it to you because it applies to anywhere across the nation. But we have specific California step-by-step guides, and we're happy to share that. We'll put that in down below in the links. Really good stuff. If you've got a PPP loan, you'll want to apply for loan forgiveness so you don't have to pay it back. And there's no huge rush because I know that there's a long lead time to when you have to pay it back. However, I did want to give that PSA for anybody who has a PPP loan. These newer, easier application process is not application, but forgiveness process is available now. So that was my PSA for today, and I'm done.
I love that. Well, yes, we do. We have all sorts of goodness to share, and we always love to get that at the beginning because we are excited to put the cherry on top of our conversation today with our very, very special guest. And Sarah alluded to our guest because she is part of the Angle and Volkers family. Angle and Volkers was one of our diamond sponsors. Shine bright like a diamond. And we have Caitlyn Castellano on today. Come on in, Caitlyn, as we read about you. So Caitlyn's the Senior VP of Marketing for Angle and Volkers, and she's responsible for leading the global brand marketing strategy for the Americas. And we'll find out exactly what the Americas means when we're chatting with her. She focuses on strategy that drives business results for the brand and its network of luxury real estate shops and advisors. She oversees the digital and offline advertising, public relations, social media, content creation, strategic partnerships, and events. So, she's super chill and doesn't really have a whole lot on her plate, like, all of us. Prior to this role, Caitlyn served as the brand's VP of communications. So we would love to have a chat with you about that, Caitlyn, as well as you've got 9 years of real estate franchise experience outside of Angle and Volkers. We actually met when you were with a different brand. And so, that's the beauty of this industry. We have these beautiful weaving journeys. So welcome to WomanUP Weekly.
Thank you.
Yes. How are you? What have you been doing these last, 7 months?
I know, it's so funny. You had asked me that before. I'm like, I actually don't know. It feels like it all blends together, doesn't it? But no, it's been busy. We kind of never really stalled when COVID happened because our network and our company is very familiar with the Google platform. So it was nothing for us to turn on our chats and our hangouts and whatnot. But we've been really busy. We've been bringing on new franchises. We've been plugging along, and also, working from home. My kids were home for a bit, and then summer happened. So they're actually back to school in person right now. So I feel like I'm surviving better now. I love them to death, but it's very hard to, work every day and have them staring at you or wondering, will you play with me? And I'm like, oh, sorry, I have a meeting, So it's been tough, but we've been busy and things are really, really great.
That's awesome. I'm looking for the day that my kids can go back to school. I'm in LA County, and we're probably going to be the last county.
You forget what it's like.
Yeah. All of my coworkers and everybody who has a Zoom meeting with me knows that my kids are home. So it's what it is, and people understand, and that's how we roll, especially now.
I was laughing because, I work with a lot of, our European counterparts, and I was speaking to a pretty high up executive, but his accent made him sound like he was from Boss Baby, Boss Baby, the movie.
Oh my God.
And my son came in and he like goes, Mom, is that Mega Fat Boss Baby? I was like, oh my gosh, no. And luckily he has kids too, but like all bets are off, right?
All bets are off, and that's okay. I think that also has done a really amazing job of bringing us closer together.
Agreed.
Right?
Agreed.
Yeah, I feel closer to some of my counterparts that do have kids because we're able to commiserate together and like just like, oh.
The funny things too, like the people who you feel are so like poised and put together, they forgot to put their mute button on as they're yelling at their kid to do something. Like we've seen a lot of crazy stuff, but it reminds you that people are human, right? Yeah, exactly.
As people are listening, I would love for you, those of you who are watching or watching the replay, drop in your craziest Zoom experience so far. Sarah in particular loves this stuff.
I do.
Especially when it's
I've got one that's wildly inappropriate, but I'll email you.
It was funny. There was we just came out the heels of our board meeting and there was this awkward, like, people logging on, not muting themselves. I'm like, shall we start with our most embarrassing Zoom moment? They're like, no, let's get started. We're good. Yeah, that idea didn't go over well.
It's so funny.
All right, so let's get into it. So, Caitlyn, I'd love to hear about your beginning, right? What was your first leadership role? And I think the most important piece to this question is, did you ask for it or were you recruited?
Yeah, so I have such a hard time with this question because my first job out of college, I actually got because it was my previous internship and I loved it. I worked at a beauty PR agency and it was wild. And I was the lowest on the totem pole of 8 badass women. They were just amazing, right? But what was great is they made me feel like a leader, even though I was fresh out of college. Like I owned my stuff. I had to present everything as if it was the best of my ability. So it kind of set me up for how I work today. So as I rose the ranks, I did start, overseeing people. And, when I made the decision to leave, I then felt more as a leader, I would say, because I did have people report to me. I was the main point of contact with our client. And that's when I worked. Nestlé was my biggest client. And that's where I really felt like a leader. But I mean, I have to say, in this role in particular, I do feel very much in control of my team and feel very much like a leader. But I've worked a majority of the people I've worked for have been strong women. So they've kind of just let me feel like a leader, even if maybe I wasn't on paper, but they instilled that mentality in me because it's a mindset, right? Being a leader, you have to feel like you have the power to control your destiny. And you have to, empower others or, help others, because if you do, then they want to kind of follow your direction. So, I feel like I've, kind of earned my way to where I am, but a lot of strong women got me here. That's for sure.
Well, I can relate to that. They provided you, first of all, they gave you this gift of a role model and, showing you can do it. Right. And then like for me, that resonates so much with Leslie, because when I actually remember when I was interviewing, because I came from commercial real estate and commercial real estate can be icky, or at least the one I was in was icky. And then I went like 180 and I interviewed with Leslie and I said, I don't care what it is. That's what I want. That's what I want to do. And, she hired me, which was great, and 19 years later, here we are. But she had been this role model and had always, instilled that mentality into me and into everybody else that works with her. So I 100% agree.
And I think what's great too, you always work with people who, you want to emulate some of their characteristics. You're like, oh, I want to walk into a room. I want people to feel the way I feel about this person, like respect and whatnot. you also work with people that you're like, ooh, I don't think that's how I want to be perceived. You know what I mean? So I think you take something from everybody, but I think the best thing that I realized is you can be good at your job, you can be strong, you can be a leader, but you can also have a lot of fun and you can laugh with people, and that's a good thing. And in the industry, I mean, I worked for Sherry Chris for, over 5 years. And I mean, it doesn't get much better than that from a female leader, right? So especially in real estate. So I've been very, very lucky to have very strong, female role models for sure.
Well, lucky, I don't know if that's the right word. I think you've intentionally chosen an amazing path. And yeah, Sherry and Anthony, hello.
Yeah, I've been pretty lucky that I'm lucky but chose, right? But no, I've been very fortunate to work with both of them, that's for sure.
So help us understand, you went from being part of a PR agency that focused on the beauty industry. And I know in one of your notes, you're like, I had beauty care at my disposal.
Oh, I never paid for shampoo or face products, nothing. It was all at my disposal. Yeah, no. So yeah, I worked in an agency, it's pretty aggressive for those who haven't worked in, Manhattan, agency life. It's a lot, but it was fun, that's for sure. And then, I started commuting. I lived in the city for a little bit, started commuting. And I remember this and I'm sure a lot of people will understand this on the call. I remember getting off the train and seeing these two little kids in their pajamas waiting for their mom to come home from work. And I still remember it, and I'm actually like getting emotional, and I'm like, wow, I don't want that for me. It works for other people, but I can't just tuck my kids in every night. That's not what I want to be that's not what I want for me. So I got into Nestle, which was great. It was an agency, but I could work half in New Jersey, half in New York. And that was kind of my stepping stone. And then I randomly saw this job for Better Homes and Gardens real estate at Realogy. And I had no idea, I mean, at that point, what that meant. I thought Realogy was like a recruiting agency, like literally no clue. But I'd worked with Better Homes and Gardens, the magazine, in my previous job. And I interviewed with Jen Marchetti and Sherry, who are still there. And I was like, wow, this is cool. And it was 8 miles from my house. So I kind of fell into real estate, to be honest. And I was like, oh, houses are cool, and I started there in a PR and communications role, because that's what I did. And then from there, I ended up taking over different aspects of the business and, kind of evolved my role there, but I loved it. And I remember always saying, oh, I'm not a real estate person, I'm a marketing person. And, 9 years later, I was like, okay, maybe I'm a real estate marketing person. Like, maybe that's what I am.
Yes, it's come together. Yeah. Well, I think products in general, I always say this about the wine industry, because I have a big passion for that industry as well, that the product marketing and, we call it curb appeal in real estate, but, you're walking down the wine aisle at the market, and the label is what attracts me. I mean, straight up 100%. If it sucks, I don't care how good the juice is. Like, I will never find out unless I randomly end up at that winery at some point. It's just, I look for certain things. And so I do think that there is a lot of, connecting with the customer and creating an experience in the real estate industry that is, it's simply, the product is more expensive.
Oh, for sure. And what's cool though? It's, when I worked, my accounts were Patrón, Nestle infant nutrition, so like Gerber, and then Pantene hair care. So you had to tell stories. Like, if we changed an ingredient or whatever, you had to make this sound like it was going to literally make you look like the girls in the commercial, right? So I love telling a story. I love like all of that. So when I got into real estate, especially starting at Better Homes, like, I was like, oh, this is fun. Like, cause there's a big story, there was a big story to tell. So that's what I love most. And then obviously when you're in real estate, I mean, you all end up knowing everybody, right? You see the same familiar faces.
Lovely world. Yeah.
It's small and giant at the same time. So yeah, and I started talking to people, and I started, learning more about Engel and Volkers, and there was a great opportunity to work for the brand and really make some change, and that's what I love. So I decided to kind of take a leap, and I've been here for about 4 years now. But it's been great because it's allowed me to move closer to my family, which is awesome, especially having young kids. And it's been really fun. So that's kind of how I ended up here.
I love that. I'm here. I'm for some reason, I don't know if anybody else is with me, but when you said Pantene, all I could think of was that commercial where the lady's hair was like falling down from the sky and like the waving,
Oh,
like,
it was a
oh, oh,
Like
Pantene.
I magically came out of the shower looking like this.
Yes, I remember those commercials like it was yesterday going, oh, I have horse hair. My hair never
Oh,
does
my
that.
hair is the worst. I have like that. You have like thick red, like thick coarse hair. Like that's what I have. I straighten it to death. It's terrible.
Yeah.
and me, I over here try to get some body by curling it to death. So here we are.
Hair.
Hair looks good,
I
though.
I love it.
Well, let's talk a little bit about this year and the shutdown and pandemic. And we were in Los Angeles together, Caitlyn, at your Engel Volkers. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the name. What was it?
It was Exchange. It was our last Exchange. We're
It was
renaming it,
Exchange.
speaking of renaming, but yeah, Exchange. Yep.
It was phenomenal. It
Oh,
was
it was
a
so fun.
beautiful event, but it was late February. And then
Yeah.
we went into lockdown like 2 weeks later. And I always tell Sandra Miller, she really is the one that got me there and got WomanUP involved in Engel
Yeah.
Volkers and all of the things, right? So we blame
Yeah.
and thank Sandra. No, I'm kidding. But what has been since that time the biggest leadership lesson you've learned that smacked you in the face or that came across in a nicer way?
Well, yeah. So that was really wild. We came back, and COVID was something at that point. But we're like, no, let's just make sure we have protocol in place, right? But we're going. And then we felt like we were in like this bubble for like 3 days, and all of a sudden we came out and we went home, and we never went back to the office. So it was pretty wild. So I remember, definitely COVID was pretty crazy because we're essentially responsible for 4,000, real estate professionals in the Americas. So I remember I took the red eye home. I got home on Thursday, and on Saturday, I remember calling Anthony, and I was like, oh God, Anthony, like this is bad. And we wanted to make sure that like everyone in our network was safe. Thank goodness there was no like outbreak, because that could have happened. That happened to other people who had events later than we did. But we just had to start pushing out content. Strategy at that point goes out the window, right? You plan for your year. These are all the things I'm going to do. And we kind of just, let's pause for a minute and let's just make sure our network is taken care of. So we did a blend of feel good communications from Anthony. We crafted evening events because people were starting to get really sad. They were missing the connections, of our network. So Anthony was hosting after hours where, we talked about crazy things, like not related to real estate at all, just so people felt like, because we have a very close-knit network and people missed each other. So I think that was pretty wild. And then obviously, I'm trying, oh God, everything has happened in 2020, hasn't it? My God.
It does, it does start to like just blend together, and what day is what, right?
It does. And then we were like, okay, well, let's start pushing out assets for our network. We're not going to pause here. We're capable of working remotely. So we just started creating marketing assets for them to use in their network, because that was the right thing to do. And civil unrest, Anthony was on the phone with a lot of our license partners and our advisors asking them, how do you feel? What can we do to be better in being more inclusive? And what we didn't want to do is check a box. And that's what Anthony and I were talking about the whole time. We're not going to We're not going to write a social media post and not follow through on it. We're not going to make an outrageous claim and not follow through with it. We're going to take care of our network. We're going to ask them what they want, because everyone's got a completely different story and different perspective. So I think the biggest thing for me is, every decision that I make for the brand, it's backed by data and it's backed by validation from our network. Because if your network doesn't want it, they're not going to use it, and you've just wasted a ton of time, right? So the power of a phone call, the power of a meet, letting people know that you care. And I did. I mean, I care. I think we can all, relate to this, but I cared too much, or so much, that my husband was like, Caitlyn, like, remember we said we were both going to like try to do better, like at home, because we were both working crazy hours. That I had to start, okay, I need to prioritize. I'm not going to save the world, but I have to balance it a little bit more, because I was trying to give so much to our network, because like that's their bread and butter. I mean, in real estate, you shoot what you kill, or you eat what you kill, right? So we were just trying to help them as best as possible, but just a phone call made such a difference. Or like a funny text message with like an advisor, because they all have my cell phone numbers, or the license partners, like just making each other like laugh and, giving them what they need to just do their business.
That I resonate with that a lot. And my kids are a little older than yours, but you should hear my daughter Juliet like mimic me. Like she's gonna start working for CAR pretty soon. She's like, COVID relief hotline. Are you a broker? Like seriously, she cracks me up, because it's like they are absorbing so much of what we're doing here at home, and there are no lines. There are no lines. There are no doors. I'm in the kitchen, right? Like it's all open access, and I think hopefully they'll be better for it. Like I said, Juliet can probably be CEO of CAR one day. I'm just saying. But
Yeah.
it really is. It's like we were all just kind of drop what you're doing and serve. And that's what I'm feeling from what Engel Volkers did, from what you did with your community. And that's a huge lesson.
Yeah. That's what drives you, right? I personally care about so many people that I know in the network, not saying I don't care about all of them, but they're friends, right? At some point, we've known each other for so long, and like, who do you help most? Like, you help your friends. You don't want to let them down. And I think that's something really special about our network. We're so, close knit like that. But yeah, that was cool. And like, even seeing how our network supported each other, like seeing the Facebook lives and everything, where, our licensed partner in Vancouver was talking to our licensed partner in Montana. Like, it was just really neat to see like everyone coming together, and sharing, because all of the markets are different. They experience different things. Some people have kids, some don't. So they were sharing their funny stories, and it was great. I mean, it was horrible, but it was great. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that right there, Caitlyn, is something that many people are still trying to come to grips with, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're in the middle of a pandemic, yet I'm okay. I'm actually maybe even better in a lot of areas in my life. I know my spouse now. I know my children now. We eat, dinner together every night. Like, all of these things that we kind of just assumed were on TV only, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Like, real people didn't actually eat dinner with their families every night. That was only on soap operas and, like Mama's Family, whatever. But there are good things in this.
There are.
The ozone layer is healing itself. Relationships are coming together, and people are showing who they are. Right. And so in a lot of cases, there are people who are releasing relationships from their lives that they're realizing now, wow, we just don't share values anymore. And that's okay too, because now we actually have a chance to get to know each other. It's not 5 seconds at a conference and maybe, a virtual happy hour in the middle of the year in a normal year. So I love that. And one of the things that Sarah and I are always asked is about the, kind of the lanes. How do you choose your lanes? How do you keep sanity? It's the lanes. It's the divide and conquer. It's the where do you feel called to serve? Who do you feel called to take care of? And actually saying it out loud and not having shame for the people that you're not saying you're focusing on, because
Mhm.
someone else in the room, someone else on the team has a heart for them. And that is something that I think women in our community and men in our community are really starting to embrace, that they don't have to be everything to everyone at the
Mhm.
same time.
Right.
Mhm.
And we heard that over and over, even at the WomanUP conference, which
Mhm.
leads me into our final question for today, which is, holy smokes, it feels like it was a year ago now. But
Yeah.
it was, just about a month and a half ago, we were all together in our avatars on our private island. What were some of
Mhm.
your takeaways from WomanUP Virtual 2020?
Well, I do feel like it took me a month and a half to get my avatar straight, because I have to say, I actually sent it to one of our brokers in Atlanta. I go, look at this avatar they stuck me. I was like, I was a man with like a mustache and flip flops. It was so strange. But once I got that figured out, I just loved hearing everyone's story. And I think what I took away, one, there's so many intelligent women here, and I feel as though, and you kind of alluded to this before, we aren't the first ones to say, get me on stage, I want to do a keynote. We aren't the first ones to say, like, oh, TED Talk, count me in. I mean, I personally, I do speak, at our conferences on stage, but I'm happiest just getting work done, right? I'm just happiest like doing my thing. But that is part of my job. So I mean, I just loved everyone. No one took themselves too seriously, which I think is great. You can have fun, but you can still, teach and learn from one another. And you can be a little silly because you're amongst friends, right? I think that's the great thing about WomanUP. It's a close knit community, I'd say. And I just thought it was just funny to see us all having fun in this totally interesting event. You guys took it to a whole different level, which I think we needed a break from the same old, same old. So I thought it was great. I loved hearing everybody's, personal stories, professional stories. I thought you guys did a really, really great job.
Well, and to kind of even weave in your purpose, things that you're passionate about, and kind of taking the lead on that, both Nikki and Sandra, who
Yeah.
are
Oh
like
yeah.
Peloton freaks. Come on now, ladies, you are
Oh,
fanatics for that brand. They took it to the next level, and they brought in other members in the community, and now they all have their own separate WomanUP Peloton group, and they use the hashtag, and they're doing, they're keeping each other accountable, and
yeah.
that's another area, right? That's another
They're
area that they
actually,
serve, and they don't even think about it as serving, which is so beautiful, right? Because it's
oh,
such a natural way.
we are actually doing Special Olympics is our philanthropic partner. And we are doing next weekend a virtual ride, because, that's a very real thing still, and a live ride where it's safe. But they were like, okay, we're gonna own the Peloton aspect, the virtual aspect, and they're just like running that aspect of the event. And we've raised like, over $12,000 so far, and we've still got another week to
Amazing.
go. So they're just,
Wow.
we do, when it comes to Peloton, we actually have a Google chat room in Engel & Volkers, like all of our network, and they're like the leaders of it. So if you are a, Peloton fanatic, you join the group, and you guys can all chat about, everyone at Engel & Volkers can chat about like doing a ride together. So it's kind of fun.
I
Ooh,
love that.
so if
Ooh, love
anybody
that.
out there is with Engel and Volkers and you
There's
are a Peloton or you're thinking about it, right? Like
Mhm.
I would consider myself Peloton curious.
I'm Peloton curious, but it just, there's a lot going on over there, and it makes me a little nervous. But
Yeah.
I've been working out after, several months of eating and drinking. I think we can all attest to it. I definitely put on some COVID pounds. So I did start working out to make myself feel better.
Yeah.
So I do
Yeah.
2 days a week in my calendar. It's not Peloton, but it does make me feel better about myself.
Yeah. Well,
And
the
full
app is
disclosure,
definitely Oop, go ahead.
Peloton does not, support WomanUP.
Not yet.
But
Not
I will,
yet.
not
Guys,
yet.
Here,
But
there's some
I am a Peloton noob. I just got it in the
Noob.
the end of last month, and I absolutely love it. And the
Now, is
thing
that
I
a
love,
term that Peloton uses, or did you make that
no,
up?
it's a newbie.
Oh, okay.
I'm a newbie. No, I'm a newbie. I actually, no, they have a hashtag Peloton newbies.
Oh,
But
newbie. Okay.
yeah, I just said new because I'm,
You're cool.
Because she has young kids who
doing
like
a
shorten
thing.
everything.
They shorten everything. Adorbs, like BTW. I mean, seriously. But highly recommend it. I love it. And the thing I love the most about it is that I can ride with people. So I've ridden, now I've only had it like less than a month, but I've ridden with Nikki and Sandra and Sabrina Brown and you're on the board together, and it's so like inspiring to help each other and to, high five each other. And I absolutely love it. So if you're Peloton curious, Deborah, let's get Peloton to
Well, I
sponsor
do. I
Women
have
Up.
the app. I have the app, and I actually have a bike. I mean, I don't have a Peloton bike, but I have a bike. And so, because my sis is also a Peloton lover, and she just did a big ride with her company for the LGBTQ community. And just was like all her videos and all of her, like her giggles, like the giggles, the fun. Right. And that's, I think, what makes me curious, because I'm not a competitive person with other people. Like, I'm personally competitive with myself. But I've never been one who's like, I'm going to kick your butt. Like, that's just it's not who I am. I'm much more of a gatherer than a competitor. And
It
so,
doesn't feel it for me, at least with this group, it doesn't feel competitive
yes.
like
And
that.
and she makes,
Unless you're riding with Sandra and she just blows everybody
I
away,
can
and I don't even try to
only imagine, Sandra. I can only imagine riding with you, honey, because she is so amazing now. But this is, I mean, hello, she's always in like the top 100, the top, even top
Yes,
10
it is.
many categories. She is a bad.
But the thing about Sandra is that she's so, and we're gonna turn this into a Sandra Love Fest, but she's so willing to share her wisdom about it. Like, she's like, do this,
Absolutely.
do the 101. Like, and she like sends me a little text, like love notes, like, have you done this yet? Like, try this first before you do that. I mean, she's just, it's a great community. It's a great community.
Love it. Speaking of wisdom.
Yes, we've come to our last, parting
Oh, this
words.
is so fun. I want to do this.
I know, we got to do it again. But Caitlyn, just bless our community with some parting words of wisdom, a book recommendation, a podcast, or even office supplies that keep you organized. Anything, any or all of the above.
Oh my God. I don't even use office supplies. Like, so that's terrible
Google
for me.
Suite. You can use
Yeah,
Google
exactly.
Suite.
Google Suite.
Yeah.
So a really good book, and I have been falling asleep, so I haven't been reading as much as I wanted to, just like you, Sarah. But the last good book I read was All the Light We Cannot See. That was really something. It's not like a romance. You got to be prepared for it, but it's really good.
All right.
And I think the thing that I always kind of, think about is proactively sweat the small stuff, because it makes you memorable and it's really important and it makes people feel really special. But reactively, don't let the small stuff bring you down, because it's a waste of your energy.
Oh my gosh.
That is
Freaking
awesome.
love that.
I do too. We need a board with that.
Oh, yeah.
That on a wallpaper. That was beautiful.
Oh, thanks.
Beautiful.
That will be the quote of the session for sure.
Oh,
And I can already see like Georgia and Josie like creating a fun meme of some sort with
my
this
gosh.
quote. It's good. Well, because I do believe that's the essence of the community, right? It is making people feel special and seen and heard and loved and truly understood. And that is different for everyone. And those small details do make a difference. That's so beautiful. Beautifully said. Oh my goodness. Wow.
Well, ladies, this was so fun. Thank you so much.
Thank
And
you.
And thank you to Angle and Volkers. Thank you for believing in WomanUP, for all of the support. And I'm seeing the love in the chat about your last quote. I agree, Vicki. Just so good. So good. So thank you, Caitlyn.
That's
Great.
so
Well,
beautiful.
thank you both. Have a great weekend.
You too. Thank you so much.
Rolling.
And for everyone who's still watching with us, remember, make sure to sign up for the book club if you want to listen to the book or read the book. It matters not. Consume the book. And you actually can join in on the book club discussion, even if you haven't read the book, if you want to get the highlights and the goodness from it. It's a way to bring the community together. And this topic, the likability trap, is big. We have seen it come to fruition during a lot of the conversations that are happening on the news about how women are looked at a little bit differently when we, give a smirk or a smile or whatever, that we're judged differently. And this book will help you release that from your life. It will help you reframe what being likable really is. And I think that we could all use that. We could all use a little bit more confidence in being our truest selves and caring a little bit differently about how we are perceived and liked. So join us. Again, it's the 28th. The link is in the chat stream. I'll probably drop it in one more time in the description above, but join us. We'd love to see you there. And until next week, everyone have an amazing weekend. We hope that you safely sell oodles of homes and connect with amazing clients who you love and who love you right back. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.